Hi, my name is Samantha Zielinski. This is me, right here. Except now I have shorter hair, but that's beside the point. We're here to talk about The Little Prince. But before we get to the movie and its animation, we need to understand where it came from. It all started with this man, Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, an aviator and writer. In 1935, him and his co-pilot crashed in the Sahara Desert and nearly died of dehydration, which caused him to experience intense hallucinations. This event is what inspired his book Le Petit Prince, or The Little Prince, the story of an aviator who crashed in the Sahara Desert and met a little prince from another planet. Saint-Exupéry and his co-pilot did end up getting rescued after their ordeal, but in 1944, Saint-Exupéry and his plane never returned from a World War II mission. It wasn't until the year 2000 that his plane was discovered in the Mediterranean Sea. Fast forward to 2015, when director Mark Osborne released his adaptation of The Little Prince. His version included new characters like the little girl, her mom, and many others. Before I get into the specifics of the animation, go watch the movie if you haven't already seen it. There's a lot of underlying meaning in every aspect of it, which I will explain some of, but it is a must-see. It is amazing, magical, thought-provoking, and I may or may not have cried. Anyways, let's get to the good stuff. The animation. There were two types of animation used in The Little Prince: CG animation and stop-motion animation. There's a lot of detail that goes into stop-motion animation and the different types within it, so we will start with CG animation. CG, or computer-generated animation, is probably the most widely used form of animation today. Objects and backgrounds are built on the computer, and characters are rigged with a virtual skeleton. Each scene is put together and made to move on the computer. Osborne used this style of animation for the new elements he included in his adaptation. This is why the world that the little girl lives in is CG animated. It is the world that Osborne created. The second form of animation is the stop-motion animation. Stop-motion involves physically manipulating an object, taking still photographs or frames of each manipulation, and lining them up in a sequence such that it appears the object is moving. Most films out there, like Box Trolls and The Nightmare Before Christmas, use clay in their stop-motion animation. The Little Prince, however, uses paper. During the scenes that depict the original story by Saint-Exupéry, everything is made of paper. The reason for this is to represent the imagination of the little girl as she is reading the story. When we are first introduced to the paper animated world, everything is very flat and two-dimensional. Every part is just a flat piece of paper, arranged and colored to give the illusion of depth. For example, the first paper scene, when the plane is flying through a tunnel of clouds, is made completely of flat pieces of paper. The depth we perceive is from how the pieces are arranged. However, after the little prince comes into the desert scene, everything takes on a more three-dimensional role, as seen by the change in the aviator. Each stop-motion character puppet is then made of paper with a metal skeleton. These skeletons had to be lightweight, so they didn't put too much stress on the paper that surrounded them. Other than these light metal skeletons that allowed the puppets to hold their shape, everything was paper. Even the heads were made of paper clay. Using paper in every piece allowed artists to paint on the characters and props using watercolors and inks. This gives everything a more hand-drawn feel, much like the original story. So how did animators go between these two types of animation, between the little girl's world and the prince's world? This is computer-assisted animation. Yes, there is another type of computer animation, but this one is almost like a middle ground between stop-motion and CG. It takes a sequence of hand-drawn or computer-drawn two-dimensional images and, by placing each image into different keyframes, allows the computer to automatically fill in the gaps between them. This is most clearly seen whenever the little girl is holding a page from the story and images on the page start to move. The software used can recognize shapes and images to create a blend between them by filling in the frames that are missing between each keyframe. The computer-assisted animation scenes in The Little Prince help animators match up shapes and designs from each side to provide a smooth transition to and from the two worlds. The process of bringing these two types of animation together is complicated, laborious, and had never been done before. So why did Mark Osborne do this? He wanted to capture the essence of Saint-Exupéry's story while creating a new world that his audience would more easily identify with on a personal level. CG animation provides the new, believable world for the audience to relate to. Stop-motion animation triggers fantasy in our brains and taps into our childhood emotions. By bringing both together, Osborne brings the original story and its values to life, makes us question what it means to be a grown-up, and makes us rediscover who we are behind our cluttered, crazy, and overly planned lives to see what is essential. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about the animation of the film and some of the meaning behind it.